Hi guys, welcome back to Panda Gaming. We're going to be doing some more on the Infinity Puzzle. Now, first of all, we were all really chuffed how you guys seemed to enjoy that. You all commented, you all got involved, which was great. It was just an idea that we'd had and talked about, and we've no idea if it was going to work. Some good points we are going to do some more of these, and we're going to take a lot of your comments on board moving forward. Things like facings and shooting the solution that whichever one of us has come up with the puzzle would pick. At the same time that we have it all set up the first time, rather than what I've had to do today, which is set it all back up and remember roughly where everything was. Now, before I show you the solution for the first puzzle, I'd like to just point out that this is how I would do it. It's not necessarily the best way to do it, and it doesn't mean it'll work. Dice are fickle, and we've all had those games where no matter how good your plan is and how much it should work, the dice say, nope. So, let's jump into the first puzzle again, refresh on what it was and how I'd solve it. Right then, I'm sure you can the shooting. You've noticed that the math underneath is different. That's because, yep, I've had to reset it all up. Everything's roughly where it was. Things might be off by a little bit here or there, but it's just the basic concept we're trying to talk about here. So it doesn't matter if things are out by half an inch or so for this. So, quick refresher. You are playing as Ariadne. You have a chasseur who's not camoed. You have a line Kazakh who is prone. And you have to kill that shrouded, who has placed a care package and has gone on suppression fire. Because if they're in base to base, if they're still in a valid state at the end of these orders, that console will be controlled by your opponent and he will win the game. Speaking of orders, we have 3 orders and 1 command token to get these 2 heroes to get rid of that 1 alien. Again, if you didn't see part 1, I do talk about the size of the board and stuff. It's about 2 foot. It's a 2 foot square, so gives you some idea of scale. So what would I do? So first things first, I would spend 1 of my orders, and this chasseur would get recamouflage. So he's now a camo marker. The reason I would do that is quite simple. It's going to make life more difficult for that shrouded, and the shrouded players have to make some choices. Next up, I would spend the command token on the other regular order to do a coordinated order. I would put the line Kazakh in charge, so he's the spearhead, and the chasseur would be the other part of it. Unsurprisingly, there's only 2 models. So it's easy less than 2 inches of movement for him to crawl, or her to crawl, to get to there, which will give her line of sight to the shrouded. Now this is where it gets a bit trickier. So movement wise, it's going to be about 2 inches to there and then 2 inches straight up. So I'm going to get approximately to there. Now that distance may or may not be in light flamer range. Now given I've done a coordinated order, I would gamble that it probably is. But it would depend on what my opponent chose to do. Now, my opponent in ARO, you cannot split your burst, as you're all aware. So their opponent either has to choose to dodge, which will break them out of suppression fire, which is great, or to shoot at the line Kazakh. Now, depending on what they do, it would depend on what I do with the command token. Whatever happens, this line Kazakh is shooting. She's going to have 2 shots. The range isn't going to be great for her rifle, but so she's going to -3 for the mimetism, but there's no cover for the shrouded from that angle, so that's all she's going to be on. So she's going to have 2 dice on 8s, which isn't bad. I would probably go for the flamer template, which would reveal me to be the chasseur, and I think it would just be in. But tricky to say. It's one of those things you have to be looking at the table. You have to make a quick judgment call. But as it would, the flamer would have been the better option, I think, because you're going to make him take some shots from there unopposed if he shoots back. Yeah, so hopefully that order would kill the shrouded. Hopefully. If it doesn't, and let's assume it doesn't, and he shoots back at the whichever one he shoots back at, he kills. You've still got 1 order left to spend on either of them to have another go. So if the chasseur is still alive, he can move forward and definitely have another flamer shot, or he can use his rifle and take shots. But then, by going back to the camo state, you're going to put the surprise attack penalty on the shrouded. You're going to force it to fully give itself at least 1 chance at a normal roll by using the combined order. That's what I'd do. Like I say, the dice would let me down, but that's what I would do. So hopefully that's been vaguely helpful. I'm going to set up another puzzle for you to mull over, and I will join you once I've got that all laid out. We're back. Right, so what have we done? I've used the same sort of buildings from Operation Calstrom, just arranged them slightly differently. Again, same 2-foot board. This time, that yellow antennae is the objective of the game. You have to have a specialist in base-to-base contact with it by the end of the game. Unfortunately, you only have one specialist with a chance of reaching it. It is this Domaru Butai, who's a forward observer. And arrayed against him are 3 Zanshi, all with combi rifles. And there's one there with a line of sight down to this corner. There's one tucked up on the corner over there. You can see down to here. Move the camera around. And she can also see down to here. And then last, there's a third Zanshi up here who is on suppression fire. If I move around, stepping over a dog, there we go. You'll see he has some nice fields of fire. And because of the facing, which I will put up on the picture, you will also be able to see the corner of the building over there. So, there are your opponents. Back over the dog. There we go. Didn't fall over. Bonus. You have 4 orders this time to get that Domaru Butai. Now, something I'm going to put up in the corner of here will be the stats lines for Zanshi and for Domaru Butai, for those who are unfamiliar. But you can always go and look them up on Army if you need to. Yeah, 4 orders, no command tokens, nothing else to get that. Surviving unwounded Domaru Butai, past those Zanshi and into base-to-base contact with the objective to secure victory for Great Japan. In case you couldn't tell, I have been reading the Jing source book for the Infinity RPG, so I'm quite hyped about Jing and JSA at the moment. Hence why I grabbed those models off my shelf. Right then, let's have a look at some ranges. So the distance from corner to corner of this building is about 11.5 inches between those two. From this guy to that corner of the building is about 9. And that one is, again, just over a foot, 12.5 inches. So, several routes you could take to get from there to that console. You've got both wounds, so you can afford to take a wound on the way through. Which way would you go about it? What skills would you use? How many other firefights would you get involved in? Post in the comments below. And let's see if we're on the same page on this one. Thank you very much for watching, and we will catch you in the next one.